Am I the idiot for telling my RA I pay to go to school here, and she can go ahead and try to stop me from spending time in my apartment? My 18 female school, like basically every college, requires freshmen to live on campus. However, at my school, like 99% of people live on campus all 4 years. It's considered extremely weird to live off campus. It's not even thought of by most students, and the only people who ever do are usually veteran students in their 30s. And there aren't very many veterans. But it's very common for students to live on campus, but have an apartment downtown for weekend parties or whenever they feel like staying somewhere else. I obviously live in my dorm, but I have an apartment in the city center where I throw parties, and I stay there whenever I feel like leaving the dorm. My roommate is jealous that she always has to stay in the room since she had nowhere else to go, and we don't get along in general, so she reported to the RA that I'm not living on campus. I guess she thought the RA can make me live on campus or something. The RA hates our room, since my roommate always causes problems for her by trying and failing to report me for various things. The RA came to remind me that all freshman students must live on campus. I said I do live on campus, I pay for a dorm, it's part of the bill. I just happen to spend a lot of overnight time at my apartment in the city. It was extremely annoying. The RA was like, well, freshmen are supposed to stay on campus. The thing is, the school has absolutely no ability to control what I do or where I go, as long as I'm paying for residence on campus. If I have an apartment elsewhere, and I stay there, no one can do anything about it, as long as I'm paying for my dorm on campus. What I'm doing is actually very popular with students. I pay $70,000 a year for school, and campus housing is included in the cost. As long as I pay for housing, in reality, I can stay wherever I want. They can't do anything if I, an adult, decide I want to have an apartment. It's not like they can seize my personal property, or inquire about it at all. So I told the RA, I pay my bill for housing. If the school wants to try to stop me from owning an apartment, or wants to try to control my movements, they're welcome to try it. Because they obviously can't actually do anything. So the RA was just like, well, I have to tell you that freshmen must live on campus, so I'm just saying that. And she left. She told my roommate that she can't actually do anything if I want to pay for housing, and pay for an apartment elsewhere though. As long as I pay the housing bill, I can do whatever. So my roommate said, I mentally abused the RA, and gaslighted her or something. You're definitely an idiot, but you're not the idiot. Nor is the RA, who was just doing her job. Your roommate shouldn't have been trying to get you into trouble though. Not the idiot. This kid left a real sour taste in my mouth. Reeks of daddy's money. A whole idiot for sure, just hasn't done anything wrong in this scenario. Everyone's the idiot here except the poor RA. This kid sucks. Her roommate sucks. Her parents suck. Only truly idiot parents would buy an apartment for a barely legal adult, who has a dorm room, so she can party outside the rules and regs of on-campus living. You're not the idiot in this situation. But read the room. The room being the world right now. You're complaining about being snitched on for having too expensive places to live, whereas people are struggling to eat enough food every day right now due to inflation. $70K paid a year by your parents? I'm happy they've privileged you with such a cushy lifestyle, but read the room. All you needed to say situationally was, I have a dorm and I also stay overnight elsewhere, but you specifically wanted to include the costs, and I can understand why your roommate may be jealous. Just because your age of maturity doesn't mean your brains are emotionally mature, yet. Is your roommate from a struggling family, perhaps, and it's difficult for her to be left out and constantly reminded of their situation? The roommate is still, situationally, the idiot, but you seem oblivious as a person in general. Everyone's the idiot here except the RA. There was no reason for being a jerk to the RA who was literally just doing her job. You are assuming your roommate is jealous of you, but she maybe just doesn't like you. Your roommate is the biggest idiot. Tattling on a person for doing something that does not affect her makes her an idiot, and she's really just making the RA's life harder. Not the idiot, and the RA is just quoting something they're supposed to say, so they can say that they dealt with it. They very likely don't give a crap where you live, and are equally annoyed by your obnoxious roommate. You didn't do anything wrong, and I highly doubt the RA thought anything about the interaction besides being annoyed by your tattletale roomie. Am I the idiot for refusing to drop out of college so my brother can go to med school? I, 21 female, am the third of 7 children. I have 5 brothers, 24, 23, 20, 18, 15, and a sister, 16. Because there's so many of us, our parents let us know that they could only afford for 4 of us to pursue higher education. My older brothers started working out of high school, and my sister is planning to get a GED, so this wasn't a problem until recently, when my youngest sibling told us he wanted to become a doctor. Obviously, my parents don't have enough left in his college fund for that. I, and 2 of my brothers, 20 and 18, are already in college. They borrowed some money and even got my older brothers to chip in a bit, but they still don't even have close to enough, so they told me they couldn't pay for my remaining time in college and asked me to drop out. They said that with that money they would be able to save up enough in the next 3 years. I only have 2 years left before graduation, and I don't want to be without a degree in the midst of a pandemic, so I said no. I'm already paying for part of my tuition fees with the money I make from my part-time job, so I also have no savings whatsoever. My parents got really upset, and asked why I couldn't just make one small sacrifice for my brother's future. They said there would be no difference since an arts degree is as good as no degree, and my brother is a straight A student, so he'll definitely do well as a doctor. I feel bad about rejecting them since I know they'll just ask one of my younger brothers who are in college to drop out, but I don't intend on giving up halfway through my studies. Am I the idiot here? Edit, thank you for all the comments giving suggestions on other funding options. I asked my brothers who are in college, and apparently my parents have went to both of them and been rejected, so I'm pretty sure they're going to pull support for me now. I'm looking into the scholarships and grants I'm eligible for. Also, since a lot of people have been curious, I'm pursuing an architecture degree, which I have pretty high hopes for regarding employability. Your straight A brother can get scholarships to help pay for undergrad. Last time I checked, med school was close to $200,000. Your parents not helping with your undergrad so they can save won't be enough. And seriously, your parents said they'd pay for 4 of 7? Pay some for all, or none for all. The rest is bull and sounds like fiction. Edit, judgment not the idiot. First, your parents are being idiots for telling their kids that only 4 of 7 can go to college. What kind of crap is that? Why not divide up the fund equally? Second, do not buy their bull that you need to drop out. That's a complete waste of your first 2 years of school, and you shouldn't stop now. I'm sorry you found yourself in this situation, but if finances are a serious issue, then you may need to take out some loans to cover the last few years. Also, are there scholarships in your discipline you can apply for? Third, I'd like to see the statistics about how many kids who say they want to become a doctor follow through. There's every chance in the world your brother waltzes into organic chemistry his second year, says freak this, and switches to something else. When that happens, how will you feel if you drop out on his behalf? Not the idiot. Not the idiot. Reality check, unless your college fund is in an account your parents don't control, you don't get to pick what they do with it. If they want to be idiots and give the money they saved for you to your brother, they are entitled. But even if they follow through with their idiot move of funding your brother's medical education over your degrees, you don't need to drop out. Talk to the financial advisor at your school. They can help you apply for loans, or see what your options are. You could also transfer to a less expensive school if loans aren't an option. I'm sorry you were raised by parents who think making siblings compete with each other is valuable. I hope you and your siblings can direct all of your anger at your idiot parents instead of each other. What a crap way to raise kids. Am I the idiot for not agreeing to be my school's sign language interpreter? For context, both of my parents are deaf, so I speak fluent Auslan, Australian Sign Language. This is known by all of my teachers plus the principal because I act as an interpreter for my parents during parent-teacher meetings. My high school has quite a few hard of hearing/deaf students. Maybe 20 out of like 2,000 students. The other day my name was on the school notices asking me to come see the principal at break time. When I went, he asked me to wait and called in one of the special ed teachers. After she arrived, they asked me to take a seat, and told me that they were very excited to be introducing a new kind of inclusion program in the school. The principal then said something like, "OP, we know that you're very proficient in Auslan. We would love to make the school more inclusive, and thought that you could work on school parades, school assemblies, as an interpreter for our hard of hearing students. Honestly, I'm really not keen about this idea. Interpreting is exhausting, not to mention I would hate to stand up in front of the whole school at every assembly." I told him that I thought it was a great idea to have an interpreter, but that I'm not really interested in doing that. My principal seemed understanding, and let me go back to class. On the final period of the day, however, I was called out of class by the special ed teacher that had been in the room with the principal and me. When I stepped out, the first thing she said to me was, "I'm pretty disappointed in you, OP." I asked about what, and she said, "For not taking initiative. You have the power to help our hard of hearing students by assisting them to join in school activities, and you're not using it. This is a public school, OP, we can't afford an interpreter. I think that you're being pretty selfish." This honestly really annoyed me, and this is where I might be the idiot. I said that if she wanted an Auslan interpreter so badly, why didn't she learn the language herself? And that she isn't entitled to my help. She says, "You're being really immature, OP, all I was asking for is a little help." I told her that I had already said no, and asked her why she felt the need to pull me out of class to ask the same question she had seen me answer like 3 hours ago. She says, "Okay, we're done talking if you can't be mature about this." I say great, and walk back inside my classroom. She catches the door as it closes, and says loudly to my teacher, "I'm very disappointed in her, Ms. X, very disappointed." For the rest of the day people asked me why I had gotten in trouble. Am I the idiot for refusing to be the interpreter? It's probably true that our school can't afford one. OP, we can't afford an interpreter. Not the idiot. They are expecting you to undertake a task that is hard work for free because they can't afford to pay a professional. There is zero long-term planning here because you won't be a student at that school forever. What are they planning to do when you move on? They could explore other options like speech-to-text apps if they can't afford to hire someone. Not the idiot. And the teacher who did that to you was very unprofessional, trying to guilt you into doing it. OP, tell the principal. OP, report that teacher. What the heck is wrong with her? Being an interpreter is a job, and if you don't want to work that job for free, then it's entirely inappropriate to make a scene to try and pressure you into it. Tell your parents what happened. Tell your principal. Tell the school board. That's inexcusable, regardless of what good it might do for anyone. If they want an interpreter, they can find somebody who wants to do it for free, or find the money. Absolutely not the idiot. Am I the idiot for going to my sister's dream school when she just got rejected? So, I got into Cornell last week. Honestly, I think it was a fluke. I'm not smart, at all. I got a 28 ACT, a decent GPA, because my school grade inflates considerably. I had some decent extracurriculars, but nothing remotely competitive enough to get me to a school like Cornell. But anyways, my twin sister is the opposite of me. She's a genius, she has way more impressive stats, 34 ACT, and she only took it once, compared to my 3 times. She has way better grades, way cooler extracurriculars. Everyone always looked up to her as the smart one. I didn't, and still don't mind, it's true. The only reason I can fathom I got in and she didn't, is that she applied to the engineering college while I applied to arts and sciences. I don't know if too many of you guys are familiar with Cornell, but they have a bunch of different colleges you can apply to, each with their different admission criteria. Well, last week, decisions for Ivies came out. Unfortunately for my sister, she didn't get into a single one, including her first choice, Cornell. She checked as soon as it was available and called me bawling. I consoled her and told her everything was going to be okay, that who cares what school you go to, that she was brilliant, and was going to be successful no matter where she goes. Well, anyways, I was pretty much resolved that I was getting rejected, so I didn't even bother to look at my email until later that night. Well, I guess surprises do happen sometime, because I'm a Cornellian. I got in. I just don't know how, but I did. I really want to go, you guys. But this would devastate my sister. All week she's been crying and solemn, and sad. She's been angry at her friends who got into top schools, especially the ones with lower stats. She's decided to go to NYU, but she just hasn't been herself. I haven't told our parents, I think they assumed I didn't get in because she didn't. Am I being selfish? Should I just go with her to NYC? We always thought we were going to school together, but it's Cornell. I couldn't in a million years imagine I'd get in. I've been researching obsessively about it, and I can't shake the desire that if I don't go, I'll regret it. Ithaca looks beautiful, it's a small town, which I would love to get away with from the huge city that is New York. It seems like a dream opportunity. Am I being a bad sister? I know she would be upset, we were supposed to go to school together. It would crush her. I really don't have anyone else to talk to. Am I the idiot for going to her dream school? Especially considering how much harder she's worked compared to me. Update, so everyone here told me that I should go, so I decided to tell my sister. Well, She started screaming from excitement and got, not actually, mad that how couldn't I tell her earlier and she's so proud of me. But seconds later, her excitement just turned to sadness. She went from like super giddy to depressed in like seconds, and she started bawling. Like uncontrollably bawling. I tried to comfort her, but she pushed me away and locked herself in our room. I'm going to give her some alone time right now and we can talk more about it later. Update 2. So after 5 minutes of the previous post, my sister sent me a text. It said, "I'm sorry for how I reacted, please don't be mad. I'm so happy for you and your accomplishments. It's just that after I got rejected, I at least had the consolation that I get to go to school with you, and we can go together. But now you're going to be where I wanted to be and I'm just so sad. I worked so hard and did everything I could to go to the best school I could, and I just feel like all my hard work was just wasted effort. I'm sorry I'm ranting, I just need more time. I'm not going to lie guys, when I read this, I cried. A lot of you are saying that I have attributes that made me desirable, but I really don't. I don't deserve my acceptance. I did my homework between classes, barely studied for anything, took the easiest AP classes available. Meanwhile my sister always took the hardest classes, studied as hard as she could, always volunteered. She deserves it, not me, and seeing her so hurt pains me. I'm really strongly considering going to NYU with her. Everyone at Cornell will be just like her and I don't stand a chance. And I know if I go to Cornell, we're going to drift apart, which would suck because we're best friends, and I just don't want to lose my sister." Update 3, so I told my parents, and they did not react how I would have expected them to. First, they tried to insist that Cornell made a mistake between our applications, which would be impossible. If we applied to the same school within Cornell, like we both applied to arts and sciences, then it would be somewhat probable, but we applied to different schools with different admission committees. They couldn't have mixed them up. Then they went on to explain how I should go to NYU with my sister. I thought it was strange, because they definitely would have supported my sister going to Cornell if I didn't get in. My sister apparently thought so too, because she asked why would I not go to Cornell, and they said how it was unfair that I basically slacked off in high school and was able to go, when my sister was the hardworking one who busted her butt all through school. I don't know if I'm being dramatic, but that hurt. I knew they always thought my sister was the smarter one, they've made it clear multiple times, but to hear them say that I don't deserve my spot sucks. Even though they're probably right. I stood there in silence, but my sister stood up for me. She asked them how could they say something so cruel to their daughter, that I 100% have every right to be there, and that they should apologize for being so rude. My parents were shocked because we're both very passive people, and neither of us ever talked to them like that before. This started an argument and long story short, we're currently in our rooms. I'm just so thankful to have her stand up for me. I realize that I have internalized a lot of the comments they've made over the years. I'm glad I have my sister actually believing in me. I still don't know if I want to go to NYU or Cornell, mostly because I just don't want to go to school without her. She's my best friend, and going 4 years without someone who just thinks so positively about you just seems so long. At the end of the day, I always thought NYU was going to be the school I was going to, so I wouldn't lose much by choosing it over Cornell. I'm going to talk about it more with my sister, and look into both schools more. Thanks again everybody for your comments. I wouldn't have realized how important of a person my sister is if you guys didn't give me the courage to tell her that I got in. I appreciate everyone's overwhelming support. You guys are amazing. No idiots. Do not turn down an opportunity just to spare her feelings. You will likely wind up being resentful, and thinking of what might have been. Seriously, congrats. It sucks she didn't get in, but that is not your fault. You did, you earned it, enjoy. Okay, a few new thoughts here. Your sister is awesome, but it's understandable she would have feelings about this and be emotional. She will be fine, give it time. However, your parents are idiots. You will not lose your sister going to different colleges. You will likely become more apart even at the same college. That's just part of growing up. That's fine. You can stay best friends at different schools. The big worry of going to the same school is frankly over-reliance on each other, to the detriment of expanding your social circle, and meeting new people. It's really easy to just rely on that one bedrock person, and not put yourself out there, and that would be doing you and your college experiences a disservice. You're right, it is unlikely a mistake was made given how application at Cornell works. More than anything else, you have to stop being so damn down on yourself. You got into a great school on your own merits. It was not a fluke. They saw something in you that they liked and wanted at their school. That is an achievement. You are not going to be non-competitive there. Stop devaluing yourself, seriously. But to hear them say that I don't deserve my spot sucks. Even though they're probably right. Your parents are complete idiots, do not listen to this. It is no wonder you have an inferiority complex, if they've been telling you your whole life that you're not as good as your sister. No matter what school you attend, please seek counseling. Not the idiot here, and I think you should go. Your sister, as smart as you say she is, should realize that the competition to get into an Ivy League engineering school is absolutely bonkers, and you being accepted to her dream school for a completely different faculty has absolutely nothing to do with her. That's not how college admissions work. That's not how any of this works. You should not go to NYC just to be with your sister. Only go to NYC if that's what you really want. You wanted Cornell, you got into Cornell. Go. If you go to NYC just to make your sister feel better, it will slowly eat at you, the resentment will build and it will end not good.